Pregame.com.
Pregame.tv, we are back. Fire the Cannon. Brady Kannon, 2011 LVH Super Contest winner. I'm merely Steve Fezzik. Won that contest 1 or 2 times myself. Vegas runner takes the week off. He is filming at an exclusive location, getting into trouble, no doubt, since it's probably about 9 o'clock Central Time in the state of Texas, doing a little pilot for some kind of reality TV. I didn't get all the details. But we miss you, VR. And I noticed, looking at the schedule, and we're going to be talking about the Thursday night game here. Brady has a pick on this Tampa Bay, Carolina. I'll be talking about later on the Sunday night game. All the primetime games are crap this week. Great week, VR, to be out of town. Hope you're having fun in Texas, in Big D, or wherever you may be. Brady and I will carry on. Brady, welcome back.
Hey, good to be here. How are you?
I'm excellent. Before we go into that, I know golf's a big thing for you. Give us the skinny on 2 minutes on the Shriners Open, just how it went down.
Webb Simpson, who was really one of the class players in the field, turned out to be your champion, winning pretty handily. I think it was by about 5 or 6 shots. Didn't really ever get threatened. Almost a wire-to-wire victory. I think he led 3 out of the 4 days. I was there on Sunday to watch a few guys tee off right around the 10th, 11th hole. I was kind of in between those 2 holes. Saw Ryan Moore come by. He was all dressed in his Rebel colors. That was pretty cool. If you recall, my pick last week was for Nick Watney, another local Las Vegan, to top Ryan Moore, the defending champ. And the defending champ defended his title pretty handsomely. He finished in the top 10. Watney made a little bit of a charge and then fell back, and I believe shot over par on Sunday. So we had a chance, but couldn't get it home.
That's okay. We'll get him when the big, the first of the majors comes around next year. No doubt about it. But the event went off without a hitch. Perfect weather. I think everyone really enjoyed it, right?
The weather was outstanding. I was out there on Sunday, and it was like, how can you not enjoy this? And that's one of the things some of us were talking about. Is it's kind of a shame. I mean, what a setting, what weather. It's Las Vegas, and you've got, Zach Johnson, Webb Simpson, and a handful of other guys. Why don't we have some bigger names out here? It'd be nice, and they have changed it where FedEx Cup points are being awarded, and you've got this wraparound season now. Hopefully this will attract some bigger names in years to come.
Well, there's no FedEx points here, but we're going to go to the
Fezzik points here.
Where there's no Fezzik points well, there might be a Fezzik points. We'll see. We're going to go to this dog evening game here in Tampa Bay at with the pirate ship. It hasn't been rocking. Troubled times for Tampa Bay. They got rid of Freeman. Maybe that was a good move.
Yeah, it could have been.
They got Mike Glennon going for him. No Doug Martin. Team going nowhere. But whenever I see a winless team in the NFL grabbing a bunch of points, I start getting interested. Here comes Carolina, suddenly a contender in the NFC. I believe they're laying 6. What do you think?
Well, Carolina is a good team, and they've impressed me recently. A nice win over the Rams, crushed the Giants, crushed the Minnesota Vikings on the road. That's kind of the problem, though. You see where I'm talking about. The Giants, the Rams, the Vikings.
Losers.
They lost to Buffalo. They lost to Arizona. Their schedule has been pretty weak. Where, on the other hand, Tampa Bay, yes, they're 0-6, but they've played some pretty decent teams. They lost to the Falcons. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Saints, and they lost to the Patriots. The quality of schedule far is in favor of Tampa Bay.
Probably with the break they got on the 90-yard pick six, they probably should have beaten the Saints. That could,
right.
They
exactly.
Couldn't quite hold on, so that's certainly looking impressive. My concern is Schiano, the much despised Schiano, the coach submarining guys at the end of the game when the game's lost, this whole college hip, hip, hooray stuff that worked for Rutgers apparently. And by the way, the Rutgers program seems to be just every bit as good, on a par from where it was, before he left. So it's not like they fell off the face of the earth. How much longer can he last there?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be too long because it seems, the Josh Freeman situation was a mess. And maybe what we saw last night out of Freeman, maybe it was because Freeman's a mess. But I got to believe some of that is on the organization and Schiano. It'll be interesting to see. Coaches don't last long in the NFL if they don't produce. And here he is 0-6.
And they spent all that money on the defense.
Yes.
Revis Island coming in, and the defense was supposed to be so much better this year.
And that's one thing about this game that's interesting that at first glance I don't think you realize, because because you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they're 0-6. But actually, this defense is not too bad on paper. If you look at the statistics, they actually rank pretty evenly with Carolina. Now, Carolina's defense, when you watch them on Sundays, is very impressive. They're like the Kansas City Chiefs, where they're active and they get some sacks and they stop the run. Quietly, Tampa Bay has similar statistics to the Panthers.
Yeah, I do see the numbers, 5.3 yards per play. Tampa Bay gives up, Carolina gives up 5. And on offense, Tampa Bay only gaining 4.5, but Carolina's struggling, only gaining 5.1. Numbers are somewhat comparable. We talked about strength of schedule, and I can see the winning percentage of Carolina opponents is below 40%.
Right.
So they played a much easier schedule. Tampa Bay more closer to 500. Any angles that you're going to be looking at in terms of making this pick?
Well, as far as a situational or a system, angle to take a look at, and R.J. Bell will tell you this, 0-6 teams. Or teams that have yet to win a game from week 6 on.
Right.
And moving forward, if they're still winless, that next game they'll win 64% of the time. So that's a pretty good number
against
for you right there.
Right.
Against the spread, 64% ATS when that winless team goes into that next week.
That's pretty amazing. Almost 2 out of 3 just blindly backing these losers. Makes a lot of sense. The media is hounding you, telling you what a loser you are, and you want to go ahead and bring it. Question for you, I think you're going to, with that 64%, you're probably going to land on the dog. Given you bet the dog, you're going to sprinkle that in a little bit with the parlay to the under. Is that correlated? I have not looked at the under, Steve. It makes sense in this game because you have 2 pretty good defenses, and Carolina's offense, while they are covering the spread against some, little sisters of the poor, they're not terribly prolific. So the under would make sense, but it's a fairly low number by today's standards. I believe it's 40. Yes, and the 40 is the new 37.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
As low as it goes. Sounds to me you're not so enthralled with anything Tampa Bay is doing. You just like the angle here with the winless team.
Well, yeah, and I think it goes into what we saw last night as well. You had a winless team playing on a primetime stage in the New York Giants, okay, and they have that opportunity to get that W under their belt in front of a national audience, and albeit it was ugly, they got it done. I see a similar scenario here. Tampa Bay dying to get that win. They're at home, catching points. I think it's a good situation for them. Carolina with the weaker schedule, now going out on the road, laying almost a touchdown. I just don't think it's I don't think it favors Carolina to lay that many points.
All right, I'm going to give you a few seconds to gather your thoughts. We're going to make this one official, and you can add on to the reasons you like it here.
Okay, Thursday night football, we're going to be on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 6.5 over the Carolina Panthers. As I mentioned, the Carolina Panthers have the stronger offense here. The defenses statistically are pretty even, which is surprising because we have seen Tampa Bay go 0-6 on the year so far. But then you look at the teams they've played versus who Carolina has played, and Tampa Bay has played the much more difficult schedule. Now, why I like Carolina, and I think they are improving each week, and I do think they have a chance to contend maybe for a playoff spot in the end. Cam Newton's starting to run the ball more. Their rushing attack is becoming prolific. But I think this is a spot here for Carolina, or for Tampa Bay rather, where a winless team going into that next game, covering the spread 64% of the time. Then again, we add to that on a national stage. I think 6.5 points is too many. So you also look at this. The spread of 6.5 has come down in a few spots to below 6.5 to 5.5, even 5. Yet the majority of the tickets are on the favorite. So what that tells you is the sharp money is betting the dog here, just like we saw in Clemson and Florida State, where the majority of the tickets were on Clemson, but the line was soaring up, meaning the big money was on Florida State. I think we have a similar situation here. I'm going to hold my nose, cover my eyes, keep the barf bag close, and root the dog home. We're going with the ugly Bucklings, Tampa Bay plus 6.5.
Ugly Bucklings, I will steal that one certainly. And one analogy I was thinking is that Green Bay, Cleveland, how we had the same situation where all the recreational bettors were on Green Bay. Right. All the pros were on Cleveland, and Cleveland got their butts kicked. So
exactly.
that we got out the bags when we were to put them overhead or to throw up in as we were watching that game. So these, but I do think it's so important to get plus 7. I know the line right now is 6 to 5.5. I don't care. I'm waiting for, at the very least, I'm taking +7, lay $1.20. If I can't get it, that's my buy price on this game. And I really need to get that 7.
Well, then you bring in a whole nother statistic where a home dog getting a touchdown covers it about 70% of the time. So, you know, that makes it even more powerful.
Right, but don't tell Jacksonville this because
Yeah, that was the 30 percentile group right there.
That was my stinker. I had a good Sunday, but Jacksonville was.
I was on it too.
I thought it was the world's best spot with San Diego pre-bye.
It was
back-to-back night.
The only spot it was second to was the spot when the Colts went into San Diego on Monday night of that week.
Yes, so that was certainly a terrible spot for the Colts, and they absolutely laid an egg. We're talking NFL here. Brady Kannon, Steve Fezzik, but we are going to be breaking down college football here at pregame.tv. Stay with us. We're going to talk about what I believe to be the best college football team in the country, the Oregon Ducks. They take on the UCLA Bruins. Stay with us. Pregame.tv. Excellent.